Hey guys, what's up? Zelric here. I want to show you guys how to utilize a chroma key and a color key for non-green screen items to create the effect that you're seeing right now. Firstly, cameras and lights. When you're using a webcam, it cannot be being shown in direct light, because direct light will cause it to mess up, and if it's during different times of the day, maybe you don't have a very good setup that you can necessarily have the same lighting throughout the day. If you do have your webcam in direct light, it will cause issues like this, where certain areas don't appear, or there's speckling in the background, or whatever. Speckling is, you might be able to see it on my shoulders here, but essentially when speckling happens, it creates like a little bunch of black dots, and you don't want that. So you just want to be able to have soft light. I'm using two LED light bulbs that, they're just two, standard, screw-in light bulbs that are indirect. One's on the left side of me and it's shining up the ceiling, and one's across the room about 8 feet from me and it is shining indirectly. It has a lampshade on it, so that way I can go ahead and have soft light on me that is even throughout my background. I don't want to be casting shadows and creating different colors and lights and all that stuff. That'll cause issues with the chroma and the color key. So I want to go ahead and show you guys now how to set that up. You go to filters firstly, add a LUT. Also, I should probably mention really quick, my webcam's upside down, but I can fix that by right-clicking on the webcam outside on the preview and transforming it to flip vertically and horizontally. So you want to create a LUT, and once you create a LUT, you will have a bunch of base LUTs that come with OBS, but you can download a whole bunch of them. This is the ones I downloaded. I use Gaming Careers, Choi or Koi, whatever you want to pronounce it. And, however you want to pronounce it, and I set mine to 0.55. If I decrease this, it gives me more saturation. If I increase this, as I'm struggling, it decreases saturation. But also notice something. Watch this little area right here when I decrease it. As you can see, tons of speckling. There's a lot of speckling going on here, but I don't want that. I want this to be at 0.55 because it's right in the dead center. It's a little bit past the center, but it basically grants a balance between the two without giving me too much of a loss of saturation and too much of an increase of saturation. But I'll also show you guys how to increase that and do all that stuff and really balance it. You want your colors balanced before you use a chroma key and a color key. So now that we have the LUT applied and calibrated to what you want it to be, we're going to go to Properties and Configure Video. And you're going to want to focus on this entire page except for gain, obviously, because I'm pretty sure that that's just for sound, for your webcam's audio. I have not been able to use hue and gamma. I don't know why. I don't really worry about that. But if hue should probably just stay whatever you want it, and gamma is really honestly whatever you want to set it to. These entire settings right here are entirely up to you. It's really how you want your camera to look. Now, if I decrease this, I'll look really blue, and if I increase this, I'll look really orange. So I always leave that at 4140, and that's how I set it. Now, if I were to set this as default, you'd see a lot of speckling in the background. There'd be a lot of weird things going on. Camera control as well, focus, exposure, low light compensation, which I'm actually going to turn off right now. Those are things that really, really matter and really can affect what is shown on screen. So after we're done with that, then you're pretty much good to go back to the filters. But I recommend setting all this up before you do any of this, your color space, your range, the FPS, the resolution, all of that. Make sure you set that up before you do any of that. There are videos online that show you how to set all that stuff up. So we're going back to filters, and we're going to start with the green screen that I'm using. So I am using a blanket. I'm using a blanket, and well, it's actually not a blanket, it's a towel, but still, I'm using a towel, and it's not one singular color. As you can see, there's blues and greens and a little bit of reds. You can't see the reds very well, but there actually are no reds, but the hues of these colors are, have little bits of red in them, and I'll demonstrate that here in a moment. This, however, right here, is a piece of fabric that I cut out because that was a problem area that I was dealing with. It was speckling, and no matter what I did, no matter what colors I did, it would still mess up. So I found a color that does respond to the settings that I have right now for the rest of this, and I just put it up there just to be safe. And it has worked so well so far. So I'm going to show you guys first what a color key is, because it'll explain a lot more if I do that first than if I do it afterwards. So first, when I enable the color key, as you can see, it selects certain colors and completely removes them. And of course, I don't really necessarily have this issue, right now with, my head, but if I were to increase this, it would cause a lot of problems. So I leave this at 440 just to be safe. Smoothness and similarity for both chroma key and color key are what you're going to want to be focusing on. For my color key, I do not use a smoothness. I leave it down to the very, very bottom because as you can see, it makes me look like a damn ghost. But I leave that down to 0 because all of the rest of that is usually handled in the chroma key. This just selects certain areas that could possibly be speckling during the chroma key. So I will go ahead and show you guys exactly what I mean by that here in just a moment. So now that I'm going to enable the chroma key, as you can see, it removes all of that back here. But if I were to disable the color key, you might be able to see some speckling here. Let me go ahead and turn this down real quick. Some of this speckling, yeah, so like some of this speckling here, you'll see all this. The color key will, as you can see, gets rid of some of that. So if I were to put this back on, enable the color key, it would remove all of the excess speckling and ensure that there is nothing like that there. I don't want a super hardcore color key. I just want it to be able to clean up a little bit of the problem areas, the larger areas that are, not being picked up by the chroma key. Now, for this, I leave it at a smoothness of 11. And if I remove this, you can see some speckling and all sorts of stuff. If I remove the chroma key, color key, it will also remove more of it. But as I enable and throw this back up to 11, it gets rid of all of that. Now, calibrating the color is really honestly up to you. It's really what you want to do. If you're looking to get rid of a red, reds are really hard to get rid of because there's pigments that are red in our skin and there's going to be a lot of problems. So let me show that. So if I remove all of the red from this, it doesn't select any of it. It doesn't select anything right here because all greens have a form of red in them. So I go ahead and put this back up to 50 here, and as you can see, it gets rid of some of it. But we need it back to 90. 90 removes it. Now, if I were to put this up to 150, you see it gets rid of certain colors of my skin because my skin is too similar to that color. So, hence being called similarity. So I get rid of that, and we're pretty much all set with that. Smoothness, the more I increase this, the more noise I get. But this is also kind of like an anti speckling thing. It gets rid of speckling without, doing too much to the video, but it basically produces a type of noise that gets rid of all of that excess speckling and all of the problem areas. It smooths things out. So that's pretty much it. You can also use color keys. Oh, not color keys, color key spill. Which, gets rid of all of the color, or, some of it, maybe you're trying to make certain colors look a little bit more similar, which is really what this is. So if I wanted to increase this to like 28 and two colors start to look very similar, then that would like completely remove everything, which really can help. But it really is up to you. It's what you're dealing with, your situation, whether, certain things are, not responding well. So if you have like a really bright green and a really dark green, but they're not necessarily responding the same, you can turn on your color key spill and it might actually go ahead and make those a little more similar and cause them to respond as the same color. So that could really, really help out with some people. Not everybody has that help, but that's really what that does. Overall, that's pretty much it. But I do recommend not having direct light once again, because if you are using a wall and you have a direct light, you're going to see like, unless you have like an eggshell like finish or something like that on your walls, you're going to see like a big shine, and that's going to cause issues with your color key. So just make sure that that's all set up. Make sure, your lights and your camera and everything is all set up. You guys are good on that end. I hope this helped you guys, because it definitely helped me when I figured all this out. But I hope it helped you guys. You guys take it easy. Have a good one. Peace.